Welcome to Prasad Pod. I'm your host, Jarrell Prasad.
And I'm Paul Campbell.
We got a very interesting episode here for you guys today. So we got quite a few things to talk about. We're going to close out with something special, and let's get into it. So Paul, why don't you go ahead and share your screen?
Alrighty. So we've recently been talking about the Department of Government Efficiency and USAID, or what we call USAID, this foreign slush fund taking our tax dollars and sending them over to some ridiculous programs. We got to see Trump's State of the Union, where he mentioned a whole bunch of programs that the money is going to that are absolutely ridiculous. Sedentary migrants, I think, was the big funny clip that everybody saw. Millions of dollars to study sedentary migrants, whatever that means. And one of the things that Jarrell brought to my attention, and this is not like conspiracy theory related stuff. This happened. This is getting reported on NBC. So I mean, it's why mainstream media is reporting this, which makes me think that they couldn't deny it, so they had to report it. USAID instructs its staff in DC to shred and burn documents. So this is an NBC article. So it's going to say a lot of stuff that's anti-Trump and stuff, but I just wanted to do a left-wing one because, if they have to talk about it, like, it must be undeniable that it's going on if they have to, admit to their crimes.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta just imagine, like, with all the news of everything that has already come out, what don't they want the public to know that they have to go into a massive shred burn document day? We had to do stuff like that when we're deployed in Iraq. We had to burn documents constantly on a daily basis just in case they fall in enemy hands. U.S. embassies do that kind of protocol. If you ever saw the movie 13 Hours with, what's that guy?
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, yeah. They had to burn the documents there because their CIA base was being overrun. So there's protocols for that. You don't really go into a national shredding and burning day unless you have something big to hide. So they're instructing their staff to burn all these documents. The article talks about flushing them down the toilet, literally setting them on fire, shred it. So you got to wonder, what are they trying to hide? Because the news that we already found out was pretty damning and pretty embarrassing on all the stuff that we were spending. So, I mean, that goes to let you know that they're spending a lot more money on more stuff that they don't want the public to know.
Yeah, and it's funny that you should mention that. Is like, when you were literally at war, you had to shred some documents that that if it fell into the enemy hands, then that would be really, really bad. So it's almost like the enemy is destroying their documents, destroying the evidence because they're at war with Trump, right? And that's what I think is going on. Is we're occupied by a foreign military power. And it's really, it's like what the United States government has become is just, it's not a representation of the people, but it's a massive corporation, and everybody's getting paid in politics, right? By just siphoning off our tax dollars. And one of the siphons is USAID, and this is where they're getting it from. And now they're destroying their documents, which is like, oh my gosh. So things are happening in real time, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even audited the Federal Reserve. We haven't even audited the IRS. But the Department of Government Efficiency is going to audit the IRS very soon. I read somewhere that at first they were planning on firing like 6,000 people. Now they're planning on firing half of their staff, which is crazy. Like, I think that should be zero, but this is a good start. So if, like, let's say if, once, the way I think it may play out, because Trump is now talking about cutting taxes for people making less than 150K a year, which would be amazing. In other words, no federal income tax if you make less than 150,000. And okay, what if they can't do that until the midterms? Because I think that like if you saw, there was something today that was supposed to go through, is like, yeah, foreign aid, stopping foreign aid, and like 16 Republicans voted against it. All Democrats voted against it, so it didn't go through. You would think that the people, excuse me, who, the politicians that would be voting for that sort of thing would know that the people will vote them out if they don't vote to cut their taxes, right? So it seems like a suicide mission to me if you're going to go and vote, no, I'm not going to cut my constituency's taxes. The number one thing that would benefit them the most in the world is giving them more money, their own money back to them.
Yeah.
I would imagine those people are going to get primaried, and come midterms, it's going to be very interesting because there's going to be another red wave with even more, Trump uh, selected politicians getting voted in. I mean, this is looking really good in terms of the things we want to see for the things we've been talking about on this podcast.
Yeah, and when Trump gave his State of the Union address, the Democrats were, you know, going around and doing their little dog and pony show. They were holding up signs, Musk steals, and yeah, Musk is stealing the money that you have been stealing from the American people.
Right.
They're holding up signs like veterans' rights. And I'm like, you don't care anything about veterans' rights. I'm a veteran, and nothing has been affected with my disability pay. I receive 100% disability from the military, and nothing's been affected there. So don't let these Democrats lie to you, and don't let them say, oh, that veterans are being targeted, because we're not. We're actually benefiting from this. All the stuff that's happening that Trump is doing right now is going to benefit us in the long run. So don't let them sit there and fool you and act like they care about us, because they don't care about us. We are going to profit from this over time, but right now it's the growing pains. They're just shaking all out. They can't even stand up and applaud for a 13-year-old cancer survivor, but they, rather sit there and stew in their own crookedness that, Trump and Elon Musk are stealing their stolen tax money. That's your money.
Yeah, and any veteran who's dealt with the VA knows that we need VA reform. So if Elon goes in, cuts it down to the bone, and audits it, finds all the waste that's going on there, and then they rebuild it and make an actual, properly working VA that is there for veterans, helps them out, it is cheap, affordable, and gives them actual care, that would be a good thing. So saying, oh, he's slashing veterans' health care. Yeah, because it stinks and they need better health care. Because
Yeah.
under your influence, Democrats, it sucks. And it's bad for our people, our veterans that have, paid, in many cases, paid the ultimate price. So we need to help them out dearly
Yeah.
and urgently. So yeah, cut it down and build it back up to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, as a disabled veteran, like I try to avoid dealing with the VA and healthcare as much as possible. I Because I'm 100% disabled and was kind of retired, I get TRICARE benefits, so I rather deal with TRICARE than deal with the VA. So, but there are certain things that I need medical wise that the VA would have to do, but it's like a pain in the ass to deal with the VA. And we're hoping that this all the work that Trump and Musk are doing and the Doge is doing can benefit us later. I'm sure my fellow veterans can agree.
100%. And and this is so yeah, and we're going through those growing pains right now. And like Trump said in his State of the Union, it might get a little bumpy, but just hang with me. And yeah, they're gonna switch over the money system. We're gonna talk about that later. But like, there's a reason why we're telling you about cryptocurrency and XRP, because these are the growing pains. Like, it's painful giving birth. So this is what we're experiencing right now. Is we got to shed off the old shell in order to grow into our new country, really. And I can't wait to find out what they find in the IRS and how much waste and spending like has been going on there. And so I'm very much looking forward to this. So, but one of the things we brought up USAID earlier and how they're shredding documents. I'm sure they're doing the same crap at the IRS as well. But there's been a few developments. Remember that this deep state, whatever you want to call it, the bad guys, the foreign power that's occupying our government right now. It takes our tax money and it siphons it off to different branches, right? Right now, we were talking about one of the money branches with USAID, and then going in, it's a multi-layered conversation we're having. You have to cut the fraud, waste, and abuse, and then you have to rebuild these different institutions so they're functioning. Maybe get rid of them totally if they're completely corrupt, like the Department of Education. But one of the reasons we need to stop this foreign aid is because of these situations that are going on involving crimes against humanity. We've all heard about it before, is that there's more slaves now than there were, 200 years ago when slavery was at its peak. This is unbelievable that this is still going on. And what is, being paid for, what's implied with all of this fraud, waste, and abuse is, human trafficking operations. Just like, in the United States, it's long been alleged that the CIA is helping and aiding and abetting the drug, the war on drugs. In other words, they're fighting it as well as supplying it because they would rather have interests in South America being able to control those governments, and they do that through the drug trade and the cartels. They get their funding for their black ops via our tax dollars. That's what we're alleging. I can't prove that, but this is more evidence of that happening. And I wanted to highlight this. Jarrell wanted to highlight this, and I wanted to talk about it too, is Duterte, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is the former president of the Philippines that's just been arrested for crimes against humanity. His crimes against humanity were regarding how he, basically cleaned up the drug cartels in the Philippines. And I don't know enough about this story. I don't know whether or not he was killing bad guys, and now the international players are saying, hey, you hurt our foot soldiers, so this is our retaliation, or if he legit just overstepped his grounds and killed a lot of people, right? So if he's stopping the cartels violently, that's a necessary evil. If it's something where he overstepped his bounds and was hurting women and children that weren't involved, then that's something different. So, but the crimes against humanity are being funded by our tax dollars, and that's what we're alleging here on the podcast, and this is more evidence of it. And we're going to see more and more examples of crimes against humanity coming to the forefront of the of the media, of our political hemisphere, because it's been going on and it needs to stop. And I think that one of the reasons Trump is making such a big deal out of auditing everything the government does is so we can find the worst examples of what they've been doing. And this is what I'm about to click on, is one of them. So Columbia University's distinguished 2017 Human Rights Fellow, Lydia Mugumbe, was convicted of human trafficking and slavery in the UK. Before her conviction, she had been appointed to the UN as a judge overseeing human trafficking and slavery cases. This is going on, and this was from Axed on Gab. If you're not on Gab, Gab is like right-wing Twitter. That's saying something right now. But these sort of things are going on every day. People like this are getting arrested. It's the same thing. How could somebody, go into helping children and be so evil? Well, if that's where their victims are, they're going like wolves in sheep's clothing. That's where they're going to go to.
Yeah, we need to shed more light on situations like this, because these people are constantly hurting and endangering other people, and a lot of them are children, minors, and you have to your heart has to go out if you have any shred of decency or humanity, that children are being enslaved and trafficked, sex trafficked, and it's not just, oh, they're not just enslaving them, having them pick cotton. No, they're doing horrible, unspeakable things to these people, and the people that are put in charge to oversee it, like this Mangumbe, are part of the ring, and it's a big, it's a big, cabal of evil going on, and we have to, bring all this stuff to light so these people can get caught, so that it can stop, so the victims can find peace, uh, be freed, and to ensure that this doesn't happen to anybody else in the future.
And you stop it by spreading awareness and cutting off the money supply and arresting them. And
Yeah.
it can't. And the thing is, this isn't a movie. This isn't a video game. These things take time. And this you know these bad actors are you know heavily entrenched in in the bureaucracy of world governments and our own. So we have to use whatever means necessary to get rid of them, such as auditing them into oblivion, shutting down these different extra constitutional programs that I never voted if we should have this, that, and the third. I remember, I was homeschooled, but my parents, they didn't send me or my brothers and sisters to school, but they still had to pay taxes for the local public schools. And Trump has talked about stopping that because, and he's also going to stop the shut down the Department of Education. But I remember how ridiculous that is, that, a government service that you'll never use, you still have to pay for, and then you don't even know if your money is going there. And in all likelihood, it isn't. And then the people who are involved in it are some of the worst people around. I mean, we're not going to do this, but we could just Google different teachers and substitute teachers that get arrested for hurting children every single year. And the list is like, it goes on. There's a new story that comes out every day about these monsters. So, this needs to stop. And, and there's been absolutely no protection provided to our children. We don't have armed guards at schools to stop school shootings. We don't have, and then anyhow.
Yeah, the only difference between now and 30 years ago is that the media is vast, and you have sources like me and Paul, and mainstream media and TikTok and Instagram, and people are actually talking about this stuff. So it's being brought to your attention more. So that's why it seems like it's happening more frequent, but it's not. This stuff has been going on at the same pace. It's probably ever even actually increased since, as far as, the country's been a nation. This stuff has been going on since my parents' generation, probably before that. So, you have to be aware of it. Sitting here talking about it, listening to podcasts like this and bringing it up brings it to these attention, because everything that happens in the dark will be brought to light. And these people, they like the darkness. They like to hide in the shadows. And you have to, put a light on it, so that the way they have no place to hide and they can't continue to do this stuff.
Yeah, light is the best disinfectant. And so we're finding out horrible things, but we're moving in the right direction. And piggybacking off of moving in the right direction, Putin sets out conditions for Ukraine's ceasefire. So this would have never happened under Biden. They would have only escalated and continued to send weapons and probably eventually our military over there to fight for nothing, which is another money laundering scheme in and of itself. And we saw how Trump interacted with Zelensky. Zelensky apparently sent Trump a letter apologizing for his behavior, apparently. And now Putin is saying, come on, let's just stop the fighting. And yeah, let's stop it. What's the point of having wars at this point? Like there's no reason for it other than greed and evil and and thievery. Like let's end this human sacrificing event and let's go into a peace and prosperity.
Yeah. So if you saw our episode last week, you would see that Zelensky was, at the White House, and he was saying that Putin would never stop the war, and he just wants to fight and take over Ukraine. And then Trump shut him down and kicked him out of the White House, and then Zelensky just went to other countries and other parties begging for more money so he could continue to support the war. But now Putin's saying that he wants to end the war. He wants a ceasefire, something Zelensky said that Putin would never agree to. But here, Putin's out here talking about that's what he wants. He wants to end the war. He wants a ceasefire. So I'm curious to see what Zelensky's response to that. And this is just breaking. This just came out yesterday. that Putin wants a ceasefire. So we'll see, if this is what Zelensky actually wants. But I don't think that's what Zelensky wants. He wants to just keep laundering money, keep getting all these billions of dollars from other countries so he can continue to send people to his death and continue to line his pockets of him and his friends and all these other fat oligarchs, you know.
Yeah, and it's great to have a president that actually stands up for Americans and our interests. And the lies and the hysteria that are being pushed by the left are only going to get more hysterical and provably false. So you, this is just the beginning of what's going to be a really messy withdrawal. But in terms of its public perception from the mainstream media, we're going to be having a great time, and we're going to be happy to see all of these bad things coming to an end. But they're going to ratchet up the hyperbole tenfold as we go. So lock in and put on the full armor of God. And that way, as long as you continue to look at these things through the lens of like moving towards God's will, which I think we are in a spiritual war as well, and ending the human trafficking, ending the wars. This is moving us towards a living neighbor to neighbor in a better world. So this needs to happen, but it's going to be difficult. But this is a great, very exciting
Yeah,
development.
this is only within, like, Trump's first 100 days. He's not even 100 days in office yet, and then we get talks of peace and a ceasefire. I know he did say prior that he would end the war before he even took office, but that's not something that was realistic. But I mean, if we look at it here, ending the war within at least 100 days in office, that's a pretty outstanding feat. And it's a war that your country's not even involved in, so that's a pretty good feat right there.
Yeah, and one of the most exciting things about his first 100 days is not just ending wars, exposing government corruption, lowering the price of gas and eggs, which is already going down. And once these rates are cut, the rates need this economic downturn that we're seeing is another good thing, and it's a healthy correction as well. And within his first 100 days, Trump said he wanted to get legislation for cryptocurrency, and that's what we're seeing is moving in that direction. And so we're going to get on to our favorite topic real quick of XRP. So this is the latest XRP development. Is somebody? Yeah, there we go. And we got our XRP credit card skins. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, looking good. So you can put those on your credit cards. Darrell was nice enough to get that for me, so thanks, bro.
You're welcome.
But somebody post now. Anybody can post on the SEC.gov whatever they want. But it's interesting. Somebody posted this document on the SEC website, and it hasn't been taken down. This isn't official SEC words. They wouldn't even have anything to do with this, quite frankly. But it's just an interesting document that kind of outlines what we've been talking about and the things we want to look for with this new financial system that's coming up, the new economy, and the digital economy that's coming. So it's a comprehensive proposal. XRP is a strategic financial asset for the U.S. And we can talk about the Bitcoin summit that happened in a moment, but I wanted to touch on this first because these are just kind of some of the things we've been talking about that can happen and is a way for XRP and cryptocurrency at all the utility coins anyway, and maybe some Bitcoin to help us get out of debt as a country and as a people. So it mentions the Nostro Vostro accounts we've talked about. Those are the pools of money that banks basically just dip into whenever they need it for a loan and to pay their friends because they don't necessarily have it in their reserves. If you, let me see here. So yeah, if you want to screenshot this, this is basically these are the amount of value in the accounts. This is the United States share. You can use it 30. Let's say that Ripple gifted Trump over dinner 30% of the XRP escrow, which is like, I think they would have, I forget what the number is because some of the escrow is pre-allocated, but just for nice round numbers, let's just say they got 30 billion XRP, right? We could value that at $1.5 trillion based on the price, which I'll show you in a moment. You can have annual savings per transaction. You're saving $7.5 billion a year just by using XRP. And you can also use have a reserve of 25 million Bitcoin at a valuation of 60K Bitcoin in this one. So yeah, 1.5 trillion freed from banking liquidity, 7.5 billion annual transactions cost savings, and the ability to establish a national Bitcoin reserve. All good things because Bitcoin's value is going to keep going up too. We're not Bitcoin maxis, but I want every cryptocurrency to do well. I do think as a store of value over time, its value will still go up, but obviously they're going to use XRP, and XRP hasn't even gone on its run yet, like Bitcoin already kind of has. And then, all right, addressing the SEC and Department of Justice conflict, XRP legal clarity pathway. The action that you can take place is classify XRP as a payment network, not a security. We already know that's what it is. This is just, you're sending, it's technology at the end of the day. It's really funny when you talk about cryptocurrency because people still think like you're sending quarters digitally to each other. You're literally sending algorithms back and forth, and which pause themselves in different places depending on where you say them, and they get smaller as they go. Like that's the easiest way to think about it. So it's technology. It's so it's what the best technology wins, and the best technology with the best relationships in their board of directors gets adopted by the government. So stop with the ridiculous lawsuit right here. The SEC can take care of that. Official clarification and settlement with Ripple. The lawsuit is done. Remove the Department of Justice restrictions for banks. We've already seen that happening, which is really cool. That regulators came out and said that banks can custody cryptocurrency now, which is great. There hasn't been any like legal things that have gone through, but
yeah, I did want to highlight that part of the ruling that Judge Torres put out for XRP was that it's not a security. They would have to pay $125 million in settlement fees, and also that they can't sell XRP to institutions. So that's what right now is holding up the lawsuit because Ripple is in negotiations with the SEC right now because one of their main functions is to be able to sell XRP to institutions. So I think they're working out those details, and they're going to drop that portion once they settle that. Ripple's probably going to come out of this scot-free, with no $125 million settlement fee, and they'll be able to sell their XRP digital asset to institutions. So that's the big thing that they're looking for, and that news should drop any day. And once you hear that, the price of XRP is going to moon. It's going to go parabolic.
Yeah, and it's going to happen immediately. And then, let's say it takes 3 to 6 months because they already had a judge settlement, so they would have to go back and they have to untangle all this legal spaghetti. That's what's going on right now, and these things take time too. But the best way to look at it is the important thing to take away from it, is the $125 million fee and the injunction that Judge Torres said. That's really bad for Ripple. Now, some people have said it's a nothing burger, the injunction, because they've already allocated the escrow, so it's like they don't need to sell anymore. But then other people are saying like, well, what if they did? They should be allowed to sell their thing, right? So their product. So that's what the hang up is, and that's why it's taken longer, because you see all these other cases getting dropped, but what we don't see is the Ripple case dropping for this reason, because you need to untangle that spaghetti, so to speak. But it can take 3 to 6 months. The government payment program can pilot 6 to 12 months. Bank adoption of XRP Nostro Vostro account can take 24 years, and then the
24 months.
Or excuse me, 24. Yeah, big difference. Thanks. 24 months, and then Bitcoin reserve can get built up over 2 years if you want to buy it. Trump said he's not going to buy any, which is fine. And then they have this accelerated plan. And again, these are just ways to get your mind around what's going on, and for the implementation. And then you can have, phase 1, regulatory clearance; phase 2, XRP testing and government payments; phase 3, full scale financial integration, and you continue to build your Bitcoin
Yeah,
reserve.
we're not going to go through the whole document. You can actually go to the SEC website and
Yeah.
review the whole thing if you want. Like Paul said, the SEC didn't post this themselves. An anonymous party did, but it's kind of ironic that the SEC did not take it down. They kind of like left it up there and acknowledged it.
Yeah. And he wasn't anonymous to put his name, but I can't remember what his name was. But yeah, you can just find it on the SEC website. You can find it all over Twitter. You can even Google it. You'll find it. But as we get this regulatory clarity, well, before we even have regulatory clarity, excuse me, we have all of these XRP ETFs have been filed at the SEC. Excuse me. So all these different companies, investment companies, hedge funds, crypto exchanges, all want to use XRP ETFs, exchange traded funds. And the big one that came out this week is Franklin Templeton. They're an asset manager of $1.5 trillion. That's a lot of money to invest into XRP and an XRP exchange traded fund. So this is before the lawsuit has even ended. The banks are getting in and they're making their moves. These are exactly the kind of things you would want to see to prove as evidence that we're moving towards an XRP financial system.
And everyone's saying that BlackRock hasn't done it. Or, if BlackRock files for an XRP ETF, that'll be their $9 trillion, coming into the market, their $9 trillion company. But BlackRock's waiting for the XRP case to be completely settled. They're waiting for that to be over. I can guarantee you that BlackRock is going to file for an XRP ETF as soon as that case is over. As soon as that case is settled and done with, you're going to see BlackRock, and you're probably going to see other companies as well file for XRP ETF.
Yeah, so these are all the things that you want to see, and this is just the beginning of the financial switchover. Very exciting things happening.
Now there's like 240 days from ETF approval. So, once the ETF is approved by the SEC, it's like 240 days before it's like implemented. So, you have time. So they'll just count it down. Like all these ETFs are filed. I believe the Grayscale one was just considered, right? So we have the clock's already started on the 240 days for that one. So, think about it, 240 days from now, XRP is going to moon and you're going to be, filthy rich if you, invested like me and Paul have been saying.
Not financial advice, but it could be very good. So we'll continue to bring you the XRP news as it comes out. But Jarrell, I know we're kind of winding down. The episode went a little bit faster than I thought, but that's fine. But Jarrell wanted to share something that we both thought was really cool.
Yeah, so I had a dream the other day. I had woke up and took the garbage out and put it in the street, went back and took a little nap because I had some time before a doctor's appointment. So I went and I started having this dream, and in this dream I was driving. All of a sudden, there was a bright flash of light. I got out of the car, went out and looked at the sky, and Jesus was coming back on the clouds, and like everybody can see it. And I immediately fell to the ground and started worshiping and declaring Jesus as Lord. And I felt like sensation come over me, like true happiness. Like this is what happiness felt like, to see my Lord coming in the clouds in all his glories. And like I was looking around, and like even the rocks were like singing in the angelic voice and like crying out, declaring the glory of Jesus, the rocks and the trees and everything. And it was just beautiful. And I was so overwhelmed. It was a breathtaking experience. And then like literally all of a sudden in the dream, I'm transported to my house, and I'm looking at the price of XRP on my phone, and then there's all of a sudden it just starts glitching out. It goes to it just like stays there. There was no movement, and then all of a sudden it jumps to like $90, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm struggling to get my, uh, cold storage wallet so I could place a sell order and transfer some of the coins onto Coinbase. And then the next thing you know, the price jumps up to, 300, drops down to 150, and it was moving just like that within seconds. Like it was like, fluctuating really fast. So the price goes to 150, 200, 300, and then it goes to about like 232 when I finally got my sell order in. I posted it and I sold enough to at least pull $1 million out, and I felt so happy. And I was showing my wife, and I was like, "Hey, we got $1 million, and we're celebrating." And but that feeling and joy that money came was nowhere near the feeling of satisfaction and happiness that I felt seeing my Lord come in on the clouds, seeing Jesus come back, and happy. So I mean, it's kind of odd that the way that dream happened in that order. Jesus came back, and then XRP, went parabolic. But I just wanted you guys to know that, not saying I'm a prophet or a visionary or a dreamer or anything like that. Just it's a sign that good things are going to happen. Be patient. If you haven't invested in XRP, invest in XRP. And if you haven't saved or been saved or given your life to Christ, give your life to Christ, because every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. Even the rocks, the trees, the whole entire earth will cry out and declare the glory of Jesus Christ. Everything on the earth, under the earth, and above the earth will declare that Jesus is Lord. And, we want to make sure that you guys know that's exactly where we stand here on our podcast, that there is one above all that we answer to, and his name is Jesus Christ, and he is our God. And, take that news however you want. But it shows that, we're in the end times and we're approaching the coming of our Lord soon, and that also that there might be something around the corner sooner than later. I'm hoping that it's this year with XRP. So XRP, shout out to XRP Army, and just stay committed, don't sell your XRP yet until the price hits that point that you want, where you can at least pull out $1 million. So, well, that's it for our episode. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you in the next one.
Christ is King.